the issues around human relationships and true success, both in the outside world and inside, I've learned long ago that I have to learn to do my internal housework in order to do my external work. So I'm going to race through a bunch of like one-liners. Each one of these lines you could spend an hour on in a deep dive. That's not the point of this. I just want to go through and make it go quickly and easily and just do a bunch of little vignettes and see where they all land. The first one I've always used, and this is from a business perspective, but as you all move on into different lines of life, you know, we've heard 1,000 times, good guys finish last. It's absolutely farthest from the truth. All of my experience has simply been that good guys, good ladies finish first. You may not in the beginning, you may see somebody try to climb up a ladder fast and hard and mean and, you know, drive from intimidation. And sometimes they achieve, but in the end, I will tell you they do not. I would tell you that it's always about relationships and not about the money. If you put the money first and relationships last, you will not succeed in any venue that you take on, be profit, nonprofit, or business. And that's an axiom I've followed. The other one is, you know, when you try to figure out what is the legacy that you want to look back at the end of your life and having obtained. The only way you're going to obtain that is to start today. So create a vision and kind of make that happen and see what happened. When I've done hospice work, I'll tell you about that a little more. That's one of my spiritual insights. When people cross over, they're not asked how much money they made. You're asked basically, metaphorically, what did you do with what you were given? And I think that we need to spend time now looking at that idea and not wait for 50 years. There's another author, and by the way, I'm just randomly jumping around, so just bear with me. It'll all kind of tie together. Joseph Campbell is a writer and a teacher that actually taught Lucas and Spielberg. And guess what? When he came out with Star Wars, remember the Force? That was a spiritual concept that, in fact, people felt uncomfortable using spiritual terminology. And here was a guy that used metaphors. And through Joseph Campbell, they came up with the idea of teaching the Force. We're all interconnected. You can find religions that say that, spiritualities that say that. You can find Indian tribes that say that. So I would tell you the one takeaway I had from Joseph Campbell in one of his books, and it's a simple one, and it's probably been coined before. It's you must, in order to be happy, in order to be successful, you must follow your bliss. You must follow your bliss. Very simple. We all talk about doing it, but we don't practice it. We go off on tangents. So you really need to kind of core into yourself. I find something that makes me happy every day. I don't do things I don't like to do. If I have a project and I don't think I'm going to like it, I don't do that project. And the more I do things I like, the more successful I am. Next, I went years ago to, and you'll find this, there'll be stuff a book that drops in your lap, knocks you on your head, a seminar that comes along that, you know, you just have to go to, something that drives you. Why does that happen? So I'm going to give you a little insight into this conference I went years ago, of all things, called Managing with Heart, right? There were 20 CEOs. We went to a seminar for a week in the mountains with horses and beautiful reserve. Anyway, give you a quick little vignette because we don't have any time here. We started off at a calculated computer quotient analysis on personalities, right? And it was all left brain and you kind of figured it out. Had a little break and then we went back and for 1 hour, we wrote a haiku, a beautiful Japanese poem. What is it? 7 syllables, 5 and 7. And then you had to share it with this group. Now that's about as right brain as you can get. And so what does that all mean? We did that every day. I would tell you that what I started to realize in that process is that you really have to trust this sixth sense that we have. We know we have it, you know you have it, but we don't always trust it. So what is that? You've heard the term, well, follow with your heart. What's your gut tell you? What's your intuition? I would call it my knowing, that sometimes everything I've learned wants me to go this way, but something is drawing me to go to the right. Learn to follow that instinct. It is very powerful. I drive accountants crazy. I drive lawyers crazy. I drive partners crazy. I follow my intuition. And it's 9 out of 10 right. I'd rather be 1 wrong and have 9 rights. And this isn't about alternative lifestyles. This is real life. Learn to find out within you. There's a book, Seat of the Soul, talks about the 6th sense. It's very real. It isn't pretend. It's not back here. Find it and learn to trust it. And we could go on forever on that, but we're not going to. Drew, would you pull up those 2 slides if you can?
Absolutely.
All right. There's 2 slides that I look at every single week, and I have to be reminded of them. And they're kind of my basic mantras. And if you can, so there, whoops. So there's one, and I'll go to the second one because that's the lead. So right. Go to the first, no, go to that other one. That's fine. Give me, yeah. So forgive others, not because they deserve forgiveness, but because you deserve peace. So you're going to say, what is this guy? You know, a mystic? No. My mother called me a Buddhist Catholic, but I would tell you that that's a driving force. There's an old saying that, you know, when you're angry, it's like taking a poison pill and swallowing it and expecting it to kill the other person. This is all about you. And anger and forgiveness is something that comes into my life every day. And something that I'm sharing just because it's been of value to me. The next one. Now this is, trust me, if you remember only one thing out of what I'm saying in the 25 minutes I have, a key to happiness is to do kind things for others. A key to misery is to expect them to be grateful. So you've heard 1,000 things. Oh, do a random kind act every day, be blah, blah, blah. It's true. It will make a difference in your life. But we as humans expect acknowledgement. We expect gratitude. We expect to be seen. Give it up. It will happen if you give it up, ironically, but don't expect it. Don't look for it because you will kill the very thing that you did that made you feel good about it. Okay, you can pull all of those off now.
All right.
Anyway, they're just reminders in my life, and everybody has little touchstones. I have found those, and once again, I'm not preaching that that's what you should follow. I'm just sharing with you some touchstones in my life that I find important to do every day. The other one is get involved in your community. You're all involved in something. But particularly as you go on, find out what turns you on, what makes you feel connected. Don't do something because you feel obligated. Do it because you have passion around it. You want to do it. It teaches you to feel good about yourself. And I have just found that I have gotten into stuff I've stayed in. If I'm on a board, I don't like the chemistry. It doesn't feel right. I leave. There's nothing wrong with letting go. But if I feel like I can add something and I usually will get 10 times more benefit to myself than what I'm possibly giving on a board, or commitment to whatever it is. Habitat for Humanities, the ministry that you guys go on and you take trips outside of the country to help. I mean, that you continue. The other thing you're going to find in that is it's a great networking tool. You get to know, you get to understand, you get to feel. You will be better in whatever vocation you choose to follow. The other one is next is don't be afraid. We always get to be timid. We're worried about outcome. Like I said before, do 10 things knowing you're going to do one of them wrong, but you're going to do 9 right. And if you're not committed, you have to commit, and then the outcome will take care of itself. And if it doesn't work out so good, you committed, move on, do it. You'll do it better the next time, rather than, there's an old saying, I love this. They said, if you never want your fingers to be squashed or hurt, you just hold them really tight and your fingers will never get hurt, but you will never feel. So that's something that you need to hold really close. Here's another thing, and that, don't be afraid. For those of you that haven't heard, I just did this the other day. Somebody said, you gotta look at a podcast by Brene Brown on vulnerability. What in the hell has that got to do with business or a guy, right? Everything. She teaches businesses to be more successful by understanding that being vulnerable is being human, is being open, a statement that I'm still digesting. You cannot experience joy without vulnerability. Take that one on and see where it goes. But anyway, it's worth seeing. Her name is Brene Brown. Another little vignette, and I love this one. I've kind of carried it because I think it's very true. If you get up every morning thinking you can accomplish enough to change the world, or you get up every morning and think that you can have no influence on anything, you're right. It's that simple. What you see in your mind that you can do, you can manifest. If it's negative, it will be negative. I mean, it's sort of like angry people gather angry people around themselves, loving people gather loving people. It's just who you are and what you create inside. There's a piece about trying to change the world. And when I said, how do you get up and how do you see yourself? Okay. So in that seminar that I told you about, and by the way, Drew, if I run over, just pull the plug and I'll stop and I'll answer questions. I showed you 2 slides, but I would tell you one of the main axioms that I follow every single day when I get up is what I learned at Managing with Heart. A guy by the name of Joel Barker gave a presentation on vision. Listen to this one and listen to it carefully, because I think you'll all get it. Vision without action is just a dream. Action without vision is just spending time moving through space. Vision with action will change the world. So if you think you have a vision, but you do nothing to get up every day and to create that, your vision is a dream. It's just a nice, cute little thought in the background. You will see people get up every day and go in 20 directions, and they're the busiest whole people in the world. They don't know where they're going. I know people in business that, work 15 hours a day. They don't get anywhere. The point is, once you have an idea in your head and you get up and say, all I have to do is one thing today to create that vision, whatever that vision is will be created. You will manifest it. I have seen this in my life 1,000 times, and I live by that. I've said this before, you've got to follow your passions. You've got to be committed and be the best who you are. My greatest lessons have come from my worst nightmares, adversities, and mistakes. I've been involved with tenants with huge bankruptcies. I didn't think I would survive. They only led me to situations that I wouldn't have been primed to do. The loss of my first sister was so transpiring that I got into hospice work 35 years ago. It changed my life. You need to take things that come into your life as mistakes and adversity and allow them to alter. They're there for a purpose. Take it and run with it. Whatever you do, do it well and give other people credit. We tend to hold and want to have the light shine on us. The irony is by allowing other people to have credit and supporting them on your journey, the light will automatically shine on you. If you try to shine it on you, it will not. People will resent that. We have to learn to trust Allow good things to come into your life. So the word, I would just, this is a whole thing on itself. I have learned to trust and I have learned to allow. The things that I need to come in my life will come in if I allow them. Those are two very strong words, and they're hard to get around, but I would just share with you that you learn to have to trust yourself and what's happening around you and to allow good things to come into your life. We tend to oftentimes think that we don't deserve it. It's not our path. We need to move on. I would just say to just let it happen. You're never going to be right all the time. A life insurance guy told me this, and it's a good measure. He goes, I have to get 9 no's to get a yes. So each no is one step closer to a yes. So don't be afraid that if you try one thing once or twice or 3 times, it's not going to happen. Stay focused on it. And spend time taking care of yourself. Your mom has retired from this job. There's nobody else in line to take care of you. And if you wait at the bus station, there's no buses coming. So spend time to find ways to make yourself feel better. And life is like a cafeteria to me. I go in and I try everything. I don't expect what the outcome will be. If it tastes good, I eat it. If it doesn't, I put it back, I throw it out. Try it all. You will find what fits your caliber. It's imperative that you do that. And how do you feel good? I mean, counseling, hobbies, exercise, yoga, I find meditation is pretty good. The other one is how to make yourself feel good and stay healthy. I have the wildest acumen you've ever seen in your life. People don't understand it, but I'm 73 and I race sailboats competitively, so it obviously works. I teach Tai Chi. I do yoga, I do Pilates, I do massage, I do osteopathic, I do acupuncture, I do rolfing, I do whatever it is. If I'm sick, I figure out how to take care of it. And I've been fairly successful at that. So you really have to manage your health. If you don't feel good, the rest of the world doesn't work around you really well. And an interesting, and it brings you a lot of insights. For example, I teach Tai Chi. I've done it for decades. I was a very accomplished karate guy, right? Got banged up. So watch this. Karate is external. You learn how to move your hands and fight. Tai Chi looks like something you should wear a ballerina suit on and dance around the floor, right? Most powerful martial art I've ever studied. Why? Because it's internal. I feel people touch me. I know what they're doing. I can move. My arms are tight. I'm faster. It's a better martial art. If I never use it as a martial art, it is still calming my mind and it's helping me focus and it's helping me move forward. Guess how I negotiate real estate? If I'm calm and I listen to other people, what they're doing and where they're going, I know where to take them. If you attack me, I know where you're going. I'm going to get you there a little faster. Same thing, interesting philosophies that work through different tandems. And I would tell you another thing, it's never about the money. We always think it's about the money. It's never about the money. Live in abundance, not scarcity. That sounds like a trite phrase. I'm telling you, it's really, really important. We tend to always think we don't have enough. Once you get to a point that you can live in abundance. And by the way, I'm the first one to tell you I like money. Don't get me wrong. I've been fairly successful. I was born in the old North End. Mom and dad rented a little apartment with a coal fire stove. So I know where we started from and how we got there, but we worked very hard. And I like money, but I've learned that my business is not my soul. Be very careful when you get into something that it doesn't become your soul. You are your soul. Your interests are your soul. Your spiritual side is your soul. And we don't have compartments. People I've seen have a business compartment, a social compartment, and a spiritual compartment. You can only have one. If you have 3, they're false. Here's another thing. Where we got a few minutes. Conflicts in any organization you are, nonprofit, profit, anything else. Everybody says, oh, it's about the widget, it's about the Fuji, they'll come up with all this terminology. That's our problem, we got to fix it. I will tell you, I have been on more boards than I can count. I've been in more businesses than I can. I've been in public corporations. 99% of the problem is communication and lack thereof. I will tell you that that is my life's lesson. What you think the problem is, it's never that. You're being triggered by something. People are not communicating. You're not listening. I bring in a facilitator. My company has an outside HR person who does all of our facilitation. And I have a beautiful culture. We just won Best Place to Work in. So it works. This is not hypothetical garbage, guys. This is stuff that I have felt and lived my entire life. The other thing is, the other thing I found a good exercise is that whether you're going on an interview or you've got a really complex issue in your life, get up every morning, and I'm serious about this, see a positive outcome and spend 20 minutes in it. Now, that's not Guru Pomerleau talking. That's a real estate CEO. Because what I find it does, it changes the molecular and bandwidth in my brain. I see an outcome that I want. Now, I get up and it doesn't feel like that. The shit's hitting the fan, everything's going wrong. I'm nervous, whatever. I see an outcome. So that very day, everything in my day that comes in, I'm like, okay, my decision is based on that outcome. This is the outcome I want. What decision do I make in my life, given that data, that will create that outcome? You're then focused. You don't react from hesitation or anxiety. So and it's the same, if you're going into an interview, 20 minutes before you go in, see it as the best interview you've ever done, you've ever felt, the perfect outcome. The questions are going to be easy to answer. It's not hypnotizing yourself. It's putting yourself into a mind frame that the outcome you help create. That's really important. We've talked about finding time for ourselves, and I'll finish right up here. Treat yourself like you're an urn filled with your life energy. Here's what happens. We're trained that we have to give, and we ladle and we ladle and we ladle and we give and we give and we give. Guess what? After a while, you run out of that liquid. That's your essence, and you start to get resentful. If you ladle and give, and then replenish, and then give, and then replenish, you will have enough to give forever. We forget to replenish. We have to remember that. There's an old saying, life is beautiful, be happy. Yet it's hard to do sometimes, but in fact, it's true. The final thing is, there's a mystic saying that there's three things that you need to have accomplished in your life. You need to have lived fully, enjoying life, seeing everything around you. You need to have learned to deeply love, particularly yourself. Eric Fromm said, the more you love yourself, the more you will love others. And the third one, and this is where the takeaway goes, the toughest part for us to learn as humans is to let go. We don't know how to let go. It's something that we have to stay consciously aware. We hold on to relationships too long. We hold on to bad thoughts too long. We hold on to anger too long. We hold on to jobs we shouldn't be in too long. Follow your bliss. Okay, that's it. If you get happy to answer any questions or do whatever, but I think I've done my half hour, and I told you I would keep it to that. So
that is great, Ernie. And we do have a few minutes for questions. So appreciate that. And anybody that wants to jump in, I think just go ahead and unmute yourself and just fire away. And adults that are in here as well, you are free to ask as well.
And I know on Zoom it's a complicated modality, because a lot of questions never come out of Zoom where they would come out of a sit down. But happy to answer anything, or we've covered the ground. What I've talked about is just some basic concepts that, you know, have fed who I am and what I've learned to do outside of business. And it's been it's been a wonderful, successful business. But I would tell you, if you come into my office, the one thing you'll hear is laughter. And that is really the culture, that if you don't learn to have fun, everybody thinks you got to come in, you got to punch a clock and you got to do this, and you got to do that. The more fun I can create in my business, the more success I have created. They're absolutely linked and they're linear. So anyway, that in a nutshell is what I've learned on my little adventure through my existence since Rice High School.